When we go to the Moola Murti, it was donated to the temple by Sivapuri Sivaratnagiri Swamigal, popularly known as Tiruchi Swamigal. He donated the statue. It was made by Muttaya Stapati. And Prana Shakti, which is in the Ajna Chakram, is a very rare piece. It is one of its kind. There is no other statue like this anywhere in the world, with the weapons, where the weapons have been reversed. This is the way the description goes in the Sirpa Shastram. She is mounted on a Kamadhenu. The statue itself of Prana Shakti was made by the late Swami T. Murugabhushanam of Chennai, and the Kamadhenu is made from a single jack tree made by a sculptor in Pondicherry by the name of Raja Ram Stapati. The Banalingam, like I told you before, has come from Meenakshi Sundareshwara Temple. It was donated to the temple by Sri Bhairavasundara Gurukal from Boston. And this Mahameru here also was made by Swami, the late Swami T. Murugabhushanam. It is on top of another Meru that is inside the ground. A Mahameru that is buried. The Dakshinamurti Swarupam that you see in front was made by Ramalinga Sthapati of Swami Malai. The Ganapati, Bala Ganapati Vigraham was made in Swami Malai by an unknown artist. We have no idea who made him. And the Shivalingam in the temple was found by Pujya Sri Madhyoli Saraswati Devi, an incarnation of Sri Akhilandeshwari, and she herself named it Neelakanteshwarar. You can see the Shivalingam itself is blue color and came from the temple town of Amarkantak, and it is a Banalingam. It was installed about 6 to 8 months ago in the temple.
Sri Matre Namaha. Namaskaram everyone. Welcome back to our Sacred Rites and Rituals of Sanatana Dharma Learning Series, which is a joint presentation by the Sri Vidya Temple Society, Rochester, New York, USA, and Ashtanga Yoga Mandir, Sri Lanka, and conducted by Sri Chaitanyananda, affectionately known as Ayya. Ayya is the founder and Pidadipati of Sri Vidya Temple. Both Ayya and Amma, Srimati Yanamba, have dedicated their lives to a noble mission of preserving and spreading the knowledge of Devi worship and the rich tradition of Saiva Bhakti, as well as ensuring learning of these rich tradition is accessible to all individuals, regardless of caste, creed, or gender. Through this learning series, Ayya continues to share the wealth of knowledge and his continuous dream of making learning accessible to all individuals. A few housekeeping reminders before we begin today's session. Please use the question form to share any questions you might have pertaining to the content discussed. For those viewing our live stream, our question form can also be found on our webpage, which is srividya.org/AYM-lectures. Lastly, on Friday, August the 20th, 2021, the temple will be celebrating the auspicious Vajrasana Viradam. Devotees who come to the temple will be worshipping Sri Lakshmi Devi in the form of the sacred Deepam for good health, wealth, and harmony in their family home. For more information about the Vajrasana Viradam, please visit the temple website, which is srividya.org. Since Vajrasana Viradam will take place next week on Friday, August the 20th, we will not have class next week. For those viewing our live stream, our question form can also be found on our webpage, which is srividya.org/AYM-lectures. At this time, we will hand it over to Ayya to begin today's session. Thank you.
Om Ganana Antva Ganapatikam Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamasravastamam
Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspadhanaswam Manyojuvidsvedasadhanam Om Sri Mahaganadhipataye Namaha Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Hamsasivasoham Hamsaha Hasakafrem Hasakshamadavadayum Hasaum Sahakshamadavadayim Sahau Swarupanirupanah Hetave Sri Annapurneshwari Amba Sameda Sri Sri Amrutanandanada Saraswati Mahapattaraka Sri Guru Sri Padukam Pujayami Tarpayami Namaha. My humble pranams to my esteemed Guruji Sri Sri Amrutanandanada Saraswati. I prostrate before him and pray that he sits on my open heart lotus and speak through me. Namaskaram. Today, we conclude this series on Apara Kriyas. This is couched in the need for such quickly performed, easily performed rituals during this time of the pandemic, which is raising its ugly head again in our country and in many others. The rituals are not meant to substitute. It is not a pradinidhi, a substitute for the usual rituals that are performed by competent persons and priests. But in a stopgap, in such an emergency, such as the one that we are going through now, where thousands upon thousands are perishing, and the authorities in various localities refusing the relatives to even handle or touch or be near the departed ones. These rituals that we have described before this are for such people who can perform it at home. And if one is allowed, just one person is allowed near the bier where the cremation is taking place, they can offer it there. After having performed the rituals at home, they take it there and offer it. So, in keeping with that idea, today is a question and answer session that we are going to have. Please confine your questions to the topics at hand and not ask general questions, because this is the concluding session of this series. Okay, can we have the questions?
So the first question is, are there particular days of the week where we should not do cremation, like Saturday?
Various traditions, and for want of a better example, in a place like Jaffna, which is approximately 80 to 100 square miles, small place, from village to village, there are differences. So you have to go with what is being practiced in your part of the village. Some will say Saturday you should not perform cremation. Still others will say Fridays you should not perform cremation. Like that, there are different days mentioned in different localities and different village traditions. You have to look that up yourself to find out when and when it should not be. There are indications in the local Panchangam that you are using. But if you buy 3 Panchangams and consult all 3, there will be differences in them too. So Saturdays, they say, the belief is that the cremation will not be done alone. That means another body will have to be cremated along with it or in a few days. So such belief systems are there, and you have to familiarize yourself with these systems, with these traditions. Next question.
The next question is, what minimum ritual needs to be done annually on the Tithi of the departed soul?
Okay. Minimum ritual. You have to do Pitru Tarpanam. And this Pitru Tarpanam has to be done with the aid of pindams. The pindams are to be made in a particular way. We have gone through that. If you go to the earlier lectures on this subject, on this website, you will find directions and actual demonstrations of how to make the pindam. Now, having said that, the tradition that I have explained, two traditions I have explained. The first one is from Jaffna, of which I am very familiar with. All of those Hindus, Saivites, this is the way they make the pindams, and the pindam has to be made. In most parts of India, the pindam consists of white rice and black sesame. Black sesame is an essential part of the Tithi rituals. At a minimum, you must make 5 pindams, because the directions say rice flour, jaggery, black sesame, banana, and ghee. You don't make them the size of baseballs. Many places I have seen that. That's not the idea. It should be, you should use your intelligence. It should be easily manageable, and you should be able to carry it to a place of running water like that. So if you make it too big, you won't be able to handle it. The rice ball and sesame pindams are easier to make. And in some traditions, when it is for the mother, they have 2 darba grass pieces. The pindams are placed on 2 pieces of darba grass. So in all, there will be 6 pieces of darba grass, 2 per line. And in the other ritual, which is for the males, I have seen them using 1 darba grass for each of the lines. So that is a difference to keep in mind. At a minimum, you must do Pinda Tarpanam. The puja itself is on the video. It's also on the website. You can download it and listen to it. In all, it should not take you more than 40 minutes to complete the ritual. So at a minimum, you have to do Tarpanam with black till if you're male. If you're female, you can make the pindam with the black till, but use white till for the Tarpanam. And I have mentioned this before. People ask me, why the difference? What is the difference? If you put a handful, a pinch of black till into a fire, you will hear it crackling. And the crackling is fierce, vigorous crackling. If you offer white sesame into the fire, it crackles exactly like the other one, but it is not fierce. It's softer. So females use the white sesame, males use the black sesame. At a minimum, this ritual, the Tarpanam ritual for the Pitru Tarpanam, Pinda Tarpana ritual is minimum. On the day the person Sthiti comes, plus Annadanam, invite a few people and you feed them on that day. The ideal is to invite 13 Brahmins and give it to them. But that is not always possible, because most of the Brahmins that we see in this part of the world are all people who are private practitioners in a temple. They have a temple and they won't like to come and eat in a house where Shraddha is going, because if they consume the food that has been offered in a house where the Shraddha is, they say that their Sandhya Vandanam, Tarpanam, all of those things gets disturbed. I can bear witness to that. If you consume any part of that food, unless it is a blood relative, if it is your father or mother or sister or brother, then you are forced to eat it. But for the others, if they can avoid it, it should be avoided, because as practitioners of Sri Vidya, your mantra japam and your parayanam and the focus will suffer for a couple of days. So you be the judge. Next question.
So in addition to Adhyamavasya and Chitra Parnami, you also mentioned that the minimum is to do the Pinda the Tarpana. So is Moksha Archana also being performed at a Shiva temple sufficient?
If you have no other recourse, let us say you hold a job that demands that you are present at all times. You cannot take the day off to do the ritual on that particular day. And this was given to people who would not or could not perform the particular ritual. And the priest will easily tell you, go light up a moksha lamp, moksha archana, perform a moksha archana, and light a lamp facing the south near the Shivalingam, and that is enough. I am not in agreement with that. If nothing else is available, on that particular tithi, on that particular day, you can light the moksha deepam, and you can do moksha archana. But you must do the tarpanam on the next tithi that comes. You have to do it. I suspect back home, people who held high posts like High Court Judge, Supreme Court Judge, Chief Engineer, Chief Architect, Chief Doctor, Medical Director, like that, they were lazy to do these rituals. I'm being open. And they resort to this so that they can get away with it, not realizing that the pidars who have visited, who have come that day, will be hurt and they will not be fed. Feeding them is most important. Next to the tarpanam, feeding the pidars is important. And if that is not performed, you risk being cursed by the Pitru Devatas. So, in my opinion, and please remember this is only my opinion, for the parents who have brought you up and given you everything from the time you were a child, that one day, can you not sit down somewhere and do the ritual? It is a must. And as Sri Vidya Upasakas, most of the people who are listening to this broadcast, people, you must take the time to do the ritual properly. For the sake of your sadhana, not only for the sake of your sadhana, but for the sake of your offspring and the descendants that come after you. You must do it. Next question.
There are many variations to the rituals based on one's lineage. For example, if they're Vaishnavite or Shaivite, how do we navigate this as Sri Vidya initiates?
You can do either. Whether it is a Shaivite ritual or a ritual based on the Vaishnavite tradition, you can do either of them. Why? Devi, the Devi that we worship as Mahatripura Sundari, is described as Padmanabha Sahodari, also described as Govinda Rupini. She is the form of Mahavishnu. Then she is also referred to as Sri Shiva, Shivamurti, Shivangari, Shivapriya, so many names. And she was born in a Vaishnavite household. And she married a Saivite. So as worshippers of the Devi, you can use either ritual at your disposal. Let us say in the place where you are living, the only Vadyar that is available is a Vaishnavite Vadyar. Go ahead, get it done. There's no difference. As Sri Vidya Upasakas, you have the freedom to choose here or there. Next question.
Do the last rituals and the timeline differ for Sri Vidya Upasakas? How many days of Ashaucham are to be followed?
There is no difference in the Ashaucham. The days are the same. There are, let me tell you, I have performed the rituals for a couple of Swasinis. One was a direct descendant of Seshadri Swamigal, the famed Seshadri Swamigal of Tiruvannamalai, who actually discovered Ramana Maharishi in the Padala Lingam. And the other was somebody who received the Mantra Diksha from Guruji about a week later than I did. Now, I took my cue. A very authoritative figure in Sri Vidya today is somebody who is living in Chennai. He said when his father died, he did not have the knowledge that he possesses now, but he knew the basic Sri Vidya and the Sri Chakra Puja. And he couldn't find anybody to come and perform the ritual. So he performed Sri Vidya Homam for the cremation and offered his father's remains as Purnahuti. Because he said at that time, that is the only thing I knew. And his guru, his Sri Guru, who was from quite an orthodox Brahmin family, was completely aghast that he had done such a thing. And he said, you should never, don't come and see me until you can get authoritative, from an authoritative person, a letter or a document to say that what you did is not Shastra Virodham, that is against the tradition. So he was kind of shattered and taken aback. But in his mind and in his heart, he knew that what he did for his father was the highest respect that he could give his father. Such a great soul. And he's from Kerala, and they had gone visiting. And in Kerala, this tradition of prasnam is question. If you have a question in your mind, you don't tell it to the person who is divining the thing. They will, after brief puja, they will throw a handful of seashells up in the air. And when they fall and how they fall and the patterns that the fallen seashells describe, they will tell you the answer. And he went to the person who was older than him. And this person threw the seashells and they fell. And his eyes went wide. He was kind of taken aback. He was staring at it. Then he shook his head and tried it again. Same thing. Without saying a word, he stood up, walked around my friend, and did Sashtanga Namaskaram to him. And my friend was taken aback, an older gentleman, and doing this. So he asked him why. He said, what you have done for father, mind you, without him saying any other details, what you have done for your father has been accepted in Sri Puram as the greatest thing that you could have done for your dad. So he asked the gentleman, please write this down and sign your name and give it to me because my guru is very upset that I did this. So armed with that letter, he came and gave it to his guru, who looked at it and took him back into the fold. So you see, the Sri Yantra Homam, the Sri Vidya Homam, is not something that you can just do for your own sadhana. It has so many other applications, prayogams. To these two ladies, I performed the Sri Chakra Homam, and in place of the Samani Argyam, fill the conch, fill the right-handed conch with honey because they were Swasinis. And at the end of the puja, placed it on their chest and let it go with that. And there were senior upasakas who were watching this ritual that I performed. In both cases, they said this is exactly what should have been done. So, for a Sri Vidya Upasaka, you can do the Sri Vidya Homam and send them off. You don't need a priest or anybody else. You can do it yourself because the authority is given to you already. Next question.
For the previous question, when you mentioned the next Didi for Moksha Archana, what would be considered the next Didi? Is it in 2 weeks, 1 month, or the Didi on the 1 year mark?
No, the very next Didi, if it is, let me give you an example. If the person has passed on Purva Paksha Panchami, the next Purva Paksha Panchami that comes, you offer the Didi, you offer the Tarpana. Not Apara Paksha Panchami, Purva Paksha Panchami, the next month you do it. And if you miss that, then of course there are other things that you can do. Okay, so if the death has occurred Purva Paksha Panchami, next Purva Paksha Panchami, you offer the Tarpana. Next question.
What are the key days in a year that we need to do rituals for the departed souls?
What are the key days in a year that we need to do rituals for the departed souls? Okay. If the person who has passed on is your father or mother, you note down the masam, the month, not the English month. Remember, Mesha Masam, Rishabha Masam, Mithuna Masam, like that, the Panchangam will tell you. Make a note of the month. Make a note of the Tidhi. Make a note of the Paksham, whether it is Purva Paksham or Apara Paksham. Now, the same example I gave you for the previous question. Purva Paksha Panjami. So the next year, when the Purva Paksha Panjami of that particular Masam, let us say Mithuna Masam, Mithuna Masa Purva Paksha Panjami Tithi, when that comes, you do the Tarpanam. That is the first preference. On the day of the Tithi, you have to do it. Second chance, if you miss that, second chance, you can do it like I told you the next month, that Tithi you can do it. But in addition to that, if it was your Amma, your mother, you do it on Chitra Paurnami day, the Tarpanam. When you perform the Shraddha Mudra and perform this Tarpanam, even the Shraddha Mudra, there are differences. People think that you have to plant your left foot and your right foot can be any right foot, the knee is up, and your right hand or your left hand can be anywhere. That is not correct. The pindam should be between your extended hand and your knee, the knee that is on the ground. Then, without lifting your hand from the earth, you put your hand through that space, and your spouse, if it was your father, your mother will offer the tel to you in the palm of your hand. Then you clutch the palm like so. Then you place it over on top of the pindam, pradhana pindam in the center, and your mother or your spouse will pour water through that space. And the pindam, the till, black till should wash over your right thumb or the thumb that is folded into the earth. Look at that. These are various traditions that are observed. Right. Now, the second chance for you, if you miss this, let us say it's your Amma that has gone, you have missed the Tithi and the second one. Then Chitra Paurnami, third chance. Fourth time, the fourth one is during the month between the Sanskrit or the Indian month between September and October, 15th, sometimes it is 16th, sometimes it is 17th. So between that time, mid-September to mid-October, there is a period which is called Mahalaya Paksham. It occurs before Sarada Navaratri. Any Panjangam, any calendar, if you take and look at the, if you read the thing, it will tell you Mahalaya Paksharambam. During Mahalaya Paksham, the Pitrus get an opportunity to come to you. Everyone, not just your mother. Now we are talking about the mom or father also. Your friends' parents, your neighbor, acquaintances, all of them will be standing in front of your doorstep. They will come and stand. And when you open the door, you must give tarpanam to them with the till and give it. They are said to be very satisfied and they will bless you and go. All of them. All the pillars that have been associated with you and your family. Everybody, they will come. And one Vadhyar told me that even your pets, you must remember. The pets that you have had in your house, fish, cats, dogs, cows, anything, goats, You have to remember all of them. When you remember them, they are here, and you give the tarpanam to them. So that is your third option or fourth option. So 4 times in a year, you are given the opportunity to do the tarpanam and to give the pinda tarpanam, tila tarpanam, til tarpanam to your ancestors and to all the associates. The fourth one is very important. Mahalaya Paksha. Remember. Next question. For your father, if you miss the Tithi, then you go to the next month and do the Tithi on that particular Tithi. Or Adi Amavasya, Ashada Masam, Amavasya. That is very important. And you give the Tarpanam. The central Pindam will be Pradhana Pindam, that will be your father. Chitra Purnami, Pradhana Pindam will be your mother. See, we have, on Guruji's advice, I have simplified the pujas for the people who live a virtually mechanical life in these Western countries. And it is simple, direct, and to the point. Then if you live near a temple, go to the temple and light a moksha deepam. If you want to do a moksha archana there also. What is there? And then for the father also, Mahalaya Paksham. You have to do. Next question.
The next question, so we just wanted to confirm, can you do Tarpanam on that death Tithi, Chitra Parnami, Adi Amavasya, and Mahalaya Paksha, or are you supposed to only stick to one day?
You can do it on all the days if you want. Except if the death occurred this year. Like for my sister, I'm giving you a practical example. She died on the 19th of January, which means Thai Masam. Right? Thai Masam is just after Makara Sankranti, so the sun is in, it's Makara Masam. Now, after this death has occurred, there will be Chitra Paurnami, Mahalaya Paksham, all of those will be there. You cannot give Tarpanam to her on Chitra Paurnami, Mahalaya Paksham, or any of those things. You have to wait until the Varishabdi is done. 1 year ceremony has to be completed. Only after that you can give for the Tarpanam in these other times. So remember that. Until 1 full year is completed and the Varishabdi is done, and you have done, if you want to do Vitakrityam, that is, people who have been there associated with you, people who have come to your house and tried to console you, people who fed you, all of those people, you invite them and give them a massive meal. Please remember, more than all of this, take a handful of food and give it to the cow. Find out in these countries, there are organic farms scattered all over the place. Go to an organic farm and feed a cow. If you have missed any of the rituals during the commission of the Tarpanam, that will take care of the omissions. Okay? Next question.
Does the type of death, for example, suicide, require a different timetable or handling for the rituals after departure of life?
The Shastra that I have come across, for instance, the Apastamba, Aparapriyogam for Yajurvedis, it very clearly says, for a person who has committed suicide, there is no ritual. There is no ritual. Now, how do you think? This is my question. Let us say, in our neighboring country to the north, there are close to 500,000 Tamils who have come from Sri Lanka. And they have settled. They have started businesses. They are working. They have had children, and the children are in college, and they're passed out of college, and they're working. The highest number of young suicides is among the Tamils. Young Tamils, unable to bear the pressures in school or at work or at home, they have committed suicide. And I have presided over the cremations of several of them. Now, in my opinion only, Shastras that are supposed to give solace to the parents, grieving parents who have been blindsided by the sudden departure of their loved child, son or daughter. If you deny them at least the meager satisfaction of having performed the ritual for their departed son or daughter, if that is denied, where is the compassion in our Shastras? That is my question. Because they give you answers to say that the body that has been, the life that has been snatched away from the body because of the suicide is now a pichasi, like a ghost, or even worse, disjointed soul. If the parents cannot, by some means, bring peace and bring solace to that disjointed soul, what is the use of all the Shastras? What use are they? You want to make them suffer even more? I understand when they say if there's an accidental death or a suicide, for 6 months, you do not perform Sabinti Karanam, which is performed on the 12th or 13th day, or in many cases, the 31st day. The Sabinti Karanam is postponed for 6 months. Why? Because suddenly this shocking news that their child has killed herself or killed himself comes to the parents. What kind of a shock would that be? Imagine. You would, especially the mother, she would remember every single incident from the day of conception to the time that child was born and grown up. Every second she will remember. And she will be grieving. She will be devastated and she will be grieving. And if you cannot give solace to a person from the Shastras, they plainly say there's no Agnikaryam, no nothing, no rituals for the people who have committed suicide. Fortunately or unfortunately, I do not agree. This is my opinion. So, to those people that I have done for their children who have committed suicide, I have gone and done I have performed rituals after 6 months. There was one case where I think I was in England. And the news came that a lady and her nephew met with an accident and both were killed on the spot. I remember flying from Heathrow into Toronto and going directly from there to take a bath and go directly to the funeral home, where both bodies were there, and I had to perform the ritual. The cremation ritual I had to perform. And after 6 months, we did the ritual for both of them. So this is, I told you in the beginning, this is only my opinion. I do not agree that you should not do anything for those souls. That means you let them hang around and vibrate around in the atmosphere, in the ether, agonizing, unable to do anything for themselves. No, I don't agree with that. I may be stepping on stones on orthodox traditions, but this is my opinion and mine only. So whatever Vidya that Guruji taught me and whatever that is applicable, I will do for them. Next question.
If you happen to go to a town where a body of an individual who has passed away is carried, does that impact you?
No, it does not. But you will do better if you come home and you take a bath, because you have no idea how that individual has passed away, whether he was shot or stabbed to death, or whether he was thrown under a bus, or whether he died of old age, or whether he died in natural death. You have no idea. It would be better for you and your sadhana, not for anybody else. You can't do anything for that person because you don't know who he is or who she is. For your sadhana, you will do better to take a bath. Okay? Next.
If you work as a mortician, are you able to still perform puja when you go home, or are you allowed to go to a temple, or is this something that should be avoided?
If you work as a mortician, are you able to still perform puja when you are home or go to a temple? Is this something that should be avoided? If you're working as a mortician, you're going to touch the body, you're going to dress the body, you're going to perform embalming on the body, all of those things are there. So when you go home, you better bathe on your head using a pinch of turmeric, and if possible, arh, durva. Place it on your head and take a bath every day. Not just once, every day. When you go home from work, this you have to do. After that, you go sit down. For people, ordinarily, when they perform a ritual like that and go, for instance, me, I will come, while I am bathing, I will chant Rudram. If you know Rudram, you have to chant it. And you perform Shiva Puja, and chanting your Guru Padaka, take the vibhuti and apply it on your forehead. Not in 3 lines. That is called Tribundaram. You have to wear the vibhuti as Uttulanam. Uttulanam means like whitewashing. Your forehead has to be full of that. After that, you do Namaskaram and then do. So this is what you have to do. And are there many of our people working as morticians? I'm told in Toronto there are 1 or 2 places. But most of them are people by our people, but they are of other faiths, other belief systems. So, next question. What an odd question to ask.
So what if you don't know the Tithi, the date of death? How do you know when to perform the annual Shraddha Tarpanam?
Let me see. I want to read the question. What if you don't know the Tithi, date of death? How do you know when to perform annual Shraddha Tarpanam? You don't. Will you at least, wouldn't you at least know the date of death or the month of death? You might not. Let us say somebody was killed in the 83 riots that swept through Sri Lanka, where over 100,000 Tamils were slaughtered. You don't know. I have met a mother of 3, 2 daughters and a son, here right in Toronto. She still does not know whether the son is alive or dead, because people saw him being assaulted on the road and she has no idea. She still thinks that somewhere, at some place, that fellow is alive. Perhaps it gives her peace of mind. If you don't know the Tithi, do it on Amavasya. And then definitely on Ashada Masam Amavasya, if the person who died is a male, if it's a female, you do it on Chitra Purnami. Do the Tarpanam. By the way, if your parents are alive, you are not allowed to do the Tarpanam. You have to wait till they pass away, because I have heard people have given me questions asking, can I do the ritual for my grandfather because my parents don't do it? Sorry, you cannot. You cannot assume that burden until the parents who should be doing the rituals are there. You cannot do it. You're not allowed. Next question, please.
So I've seen that many people place pictures of passed away relatives in their prayer room. Is there a reason people follow this practice, and is this practice okay?
Oh boy, good question. Pictures of their passed away relatives in the prayer room is fine, provided that they are not in the main altar. They can be in the same room, but on a side. You usually do not place pictures of the people who have passed away, even if they are your parents. You can place them on a side. And you can, at the end of the puja, you can stand up and worship them, pray to them. That is fine. But it is not a good practice to put it in the altar in front of you. People follow this practice because some of them, they miss their parents so much. That's all. They miss the person who had died so much. In the opposite wall is also allowed. If the Sannidhi or the shrine is like this, on the opposite wall is also fine. It's also allowed. Next question.
In the absence of proper rituals for the passage of the soul, how does the soul progress to its next destination?
Aha. Remember the arrangement of pindams? First line in the center line. Pradhana pindam in the center. In front, mothers and sisters. Behind, fathers and sisters. To one side, Gotram. To the other side, it says Dharma Pindam. Remember what that Dharma Pindam is for? It is for people for whom nobody has thought of or has done the ritual for them. So in thousands of places, every day, when they are doing the ritual, those souls are getting the Tarpanam. You see how nice the Sanātana Dharma practices. They have thought of everything. Even if there is nobody else. The person has died a pauper on the street. Even for him, there is Tarpanam given almost every day. Okay? I think we may have run over time, right? No?
A couple more minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, next question.
Okay. When making the pindam, should we make a conscious effort to add the various ingredients based on the different states associated with each ingredient?
It is always better to understand what you are doing, isn't it? Rather than blindly following instructions given to you by somebody. You should, if it is being made in a common place like our temple, the people who are responsible for making the pindams, who are making it while chanting Shiva Puranam, after that is over, they should make it a point to tell the people what is what and why it is being done. Okay?
What does the honey represent when making pindams for a Sumangali who has passed?
If a Sumangali has passed, the honey represents Kulamridam. Kulamridaikarasika, Kulasangayadapalini, Kulangana, Kulandasta, Kaulini, Kula Yogini. Remember? Lalita Sahasranamam. That Kulamridam is what is offered to the Sumangali who has passed. And that is not a small thing. That addition of that honey elevates them to become a Sri Vidya Upasaka. So in the next birth, she will get it. Next question.
Is it important for the sesame seeds to fall on the pindams or just the water from the sesame seeds?
Is it important for the sesame seeds to fall on the pindam or just the water from the sesame? Both. Both. They have to fall on the pindams, both of them. Next.
Sorry.
That's all the questions you have?
Oh no, there's more, sorry. Are Sumangalis allowed to offer pindams for any Shraddha?
Are Sumangalis allowed to offer the pindams for any Shraddha? I believe so. If the husband, let us say it is the Shraddha for her father, and it is the duty of the husband to perform the Shraddha for the departed father-in-law or mother-in-law. That is why they are called father and mother-in-law. If he is too busy to do these things, yes, of course, the lady can offer it. Except to make the pindam, she uses black sesame, and to do the tarpanam, she uses white sesame. That is my opinion. People may differ from what I say, but this is what I think is absolutely practical in today's day and age. Show me one company executive who is going to take leave that day and sit down at home and do the tarpanam for the in-laws. Come on. Be realistic. Most of these fellows will say, I've got an important meeting today, I have to go. See? So the Sumangali is allowed to do it. Next question, please.
It's 9. Should we end here? Is that okay? Or
9 o'clock. Yes. Let me tell you a quick story and finish up.
okay.
Karna, who had no blemishes as far as somebody comes and asks him for something, he'll give it. No questions. He won't find out whether it was a crook or a bat or, who has come to cheat him. He doesn't find out any of those things. So he gave. So when he died, Yama took him. And Yama said, you have done so many meritorious acts in your life. You live in Swargalogam for some time, heaven, enjoying everything. So when he was in heaven, remember, one day, 1 year for us here is 1 day for them in the Swargalokam. He felt hungry. So he asked another being who was there, where do we eat? That person said, we don't eat anything here. There's no food here. So he went to Brihaspati and asked him, why is it that I feel hungry? Brihaspati told him, when you were on the earth, you did all kinds of dhanam, dharmam, everything, but you did not do annadhanam. Annadhanam is absolutely essential. You did not care for it because you didn't know. And one day, a Brahmin came and asked you, Ayya, I'm hungry. You told him, I don't have food. But pointing with his forefinger, he said, there, that place they are doing annadhanam. Go there and eat to your heart's content. So Brihaspati told Karnan, you put your forefinger in your mouth and take it out. Karnan did that and his hunger was gone. So he asked Brihaspati, what is the reason for this? He said, because even though you didn't give him food, you pointed to him where the food was available. That is why with the forefinger you put it in your mouth, your hunger was okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you week after next. Next week is Varalakshmi Vratam, so we won't see you next week. Okay, thank you very much and good night.
Thank you, Ayya, for taking the time to answer our questions and discuss more about the rituals for the departed souls and their significance within Sanatana Dharma. As Ayya mentioned, next week is Varalakshmi Vratam, and that'll take place on Friday, August 2021. Please join us as we celebrate this very auspicious day at the temple. If you would like to look at sponsorship opportunities, please visit the temple's website at srividya.org. Thank you everyone for joining us for today's session. At this time, we will hand it over to Vyasa Uncle from Ashtanga Yoga Mandir.
Greetings and pranams to Haranaya, all the members and the devotees of the Sri Vidya Temple and the members of the Ashtanga Yoga Mandir. Those who are comfortable, you are welcome to come on video on mode. Ayya gave a very series of lectures and elaborate explanations about the importance of very variable informations. And once again, we thank Ayya and the team for organizing this wonderful series of talks on the most vital, important topic. Today, in the practice of yoga, we will do one of the breathing practices, which comes as preparatory practices for pranayama. You will know that in the advanced layer of the pranayama, which is also called as the Vasi Yogam, or also they have different other names based on the geographical locations. Based on the day and based on the time, as all of you know, your nostril has to function on a specific timing. That is one principle. There is also another principle that when you are going on a series of work, for example, you have to be very attentive, you have to be listening, and then at that time the right nostril has to work. You are consuming, you are going to consume food, your right nostril has to work. You are going to go for sleep, your left nostril has to work. So there are times where the right nostril has to work, there are sometimes the left nostril has to work. But a person who does the yoga on a regular process, they will know that that functions automatically. Is a specific duration, according to the each nalika, that it will change. The right nostril, left nostril, it will go on working. But due to certain reasons, if it doesn't work, then we do this specific practice just to ensure that the inner metabolic system function perfectly. Now, for example, you're going to do a puja. You're going to do a certain mantra chanting. Then what happens? Your right nostril has to be functioning. That is what you will also see that we do the pranayama, just to balance it. So either you balance it or you get the specific nostril, the right nostril, to function perfectly. For that purpose, we do this breathing practice. So this breathing practice, you can do it while seated on a chair, that's fine. Or those who have an exposure of rituals and yoga, you can do it in the Vajrasana. Vajrasana is the kneeling position. And in case if you are finding it difficult, you can always have a cushion. So basically you can have a cushion here, you can have a cushion under here, so that you will be feeling very comfortable for your practice. So in case, so Vajrasana is the ideal, but in case if you are not able to come into Vajrasana, then you can go ahead with the other positions also. And what you do, the first practice is, if you want your right nostril to be activated very well, you take your right hand, place it under the armpit region. And when you're placing the armpit region, the thumb is expanded, the four fingers are together, and then you keep it like this. And then from here, you keep it in the Chin Mudra, you place it like this, hold it carefully, and then you consciously breathe in, breathe out for 10 minutes. All of you, please start the practice. So ensure that the thumb touches the collarbone if it is possible. In this position, take the Dirgha Swasa. When you are doing this practice, you will see that the inhalation, if it is around 12 counts or more, it will be great. So you place it like this, breathe in, breathe out. So when you're doing the breathing practice, just ensure, those who are observing through the video on mode, just observe, you place it like this, your chest should move towards outward. That is what is important. So when you're placing it like this, you feel that there is an expansion towards your left side. So you do that practice, then you do it on the other side. So when you're doing it, collarbone, the thumb touches the collarbone, and then you slowly start the expansion. So when you're inhaling, consciously you will start feeling the breath movement, the body movement towards your sideways. So when you're doing it on the other side, it will go towards your right side. Start. Take a deep breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. you will do this practice. Once this is completed, then you will take both your hands in this position. When you're doing it in this position, you will have to just lift your elbow slightly so that when you move your chest, when the chest moves outward, there's a movement. Right chest slightly moves right side, the left moves on the left side. So you need to give space. So that is the reason why you just lift it up. You hold it. But the grip of the thumb will be there always. So you keep on holding it and then you go on doing the breathing practice. Breathe in. Breathe out. So you will be doing this practice. So when you do this sequence of practices, what happens? That helps in the balancing of your position. So the pressure under both the armpits helps to open the nostrils to facilitate the practice of the pranayama. Sometimes, if some of you have a concern in the sleeping, understand? So what you will do, you will lie down in Shavasana, just like how you lie down, facing upward. So you need the left nostril to function while you are lying down itself. So for example, you just lie down like this. So my left nostril has to function. Take your right hand, keep it like this, and just be like this. So when you do like that itself, automatically the breath nostril towards the left nostril, which induces the sleep, will make it easier. So those who knows the yoga nidra and all, sometimes you will see some people when they do the yoga nidra, they cannot relax themselves. So just tell them to take the hands, keep it under the armpit region, then automatically the restlessness. Two types of restlessness can be there. One is the body type of restlessness. The other is the mind type of restlessness. Both the restlessness in the yoga nidra, in the shavasana, you can bend your legs if you are comfortable and place it under it, and then you can go ahead. So this one, which is called as the Padadhirasana, helps as a preparatory practices for you. Sometimes those who are having frequent body pain, please do this practice. Just do it for half a mandala and just see how the body pain reduces. And those who are having frequent health related issues, in case if they don't have time to do asanas, just teach them only these breathing practices of the Padadhirasana. That will help them tremendously. So thank you very much to all of you, and our special gratitude and thanks to Haranaya, and also to their wonderful team, and also to the members of the Ashtanga Yoga Mandir, and also all those who are viewing on live through YouTube and Facebook. Thank you very much, and see you all on another wonderful session. Thank you, and God bless you. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.